4,000 years ago, a city of 40,000 people went quiet. No siege, no fire, no bodies in the streets. The doors were simply left open. And then, for nearly 4,000 years, no one even remembered it had existed. This wasn't a village. This was one of the largest, most advanced civilizations the ancient world ever produced. Bigger than Egypt, bigger than Mesopotamia. They had running water before Rome, city planning we did not match again until the 1800s, and then they vanished so completely that we lost their name, their language, and even the memory of them. By the end of this, you will understand three things: who they were, why their disappearance is still unsolved, and the one piece of evidence that, if we ever crack it, could rewrite the story of human civilization. Stay with me. The strangest part comes last. The story starts not with archaeologists, but with railway workers. The 1920s, British-controlled India. Crews laying track were hauling ancient bricks out of two enormous mounds to use as ballast, flattening history to build a railroad. Then an archaeologist named Banerjee looked closer at one of those mounds, a place locals called Mohenjo-Daro, the mound of the dead. What he found underneath was not a tomb. It was a city, and not a crude one. Mohenjo-Daro was not alone. As archaeologists kept digging, the map filled in. Harappa, 400 miles away, built to the very same plan. Then another site, and another. We now know of more than 1,000 settlements, spread across an area larger than Western Europe, bigger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. At its peak, this civilization may have held 5 million people, the largest of the entire ancient world. And until a single century ago, we had no idea that any of it was ever there. But the deeper they dug, the stranger it got. Because these cities were missing something every other ancient empire has. We will get to what. But first, you need to see how advanced these people actually were. Picture a city laid out on a perfect grid. Straight streets crossing at right angles. Standardized fired bricks, the exact same dimensions in cities hundreds of miles apart, as if regulated by a single building code. Nearly every house had its own private bathroom. Covered drains ran beneath the streets, carrying waste away from homes. A public sanitation system more sophisticated than parts of the world had a century ago. They had standardized weights for trade. A great public bath, built so watertight it still holds its shape today. We do have two faces. From the rubble came a tiny bronze statue, 4,500 years old, of a young girl. One hand on her hip, chin raised, utterly self-assured. Archaeologists call her the dancing girl. And a small carved stone bust of a bearded man in a patterned robe, calm, his eyes half closed, that we call the priest king. Though we have no evidence he was a priest, or a king, or that he ruled anything at all. We named him out of our own assumptions. Two faces, staring back across 4,000 years. And we cannot tell you a single true thing about who they were, because here is what these cities did not have. No giant palaces, no royal tombs stuffed with gold, no towering statues of god-kings, no clear sign of an army. Every other great ancient civilization screams its hierarchy at you. Pharaohs, emperors, war. This one is silent about who was in charge. A society of millions that left behind almost no monuments to power, which raises a question we still cannot answer. Who ruled the Indus Valley? And the honest answer is, we do not know, because of the problem I am about to show you. They left writing. Thousands of inscriptions on seals, on pottery, on tablets, a script of more than 400 symbols, and in over 100 years of trying, no one has ever read a single word of it. We cracked Egyptian hieroglyphs with the Rosetta Stone. We cracked the Maya glyphs, but the Indus script has no bilingual key, and the inscriptions are brutally short. Most are just 5 symbols long, too short to find patterns, too undeciphered to even know what language they spoke. At a site called Dolavira, on an island in a salt desert, they built something that should not have been possible. A city of dressed stone, with a network of giant reservoirs carved into the bedrock to capture and hold every drop of the monsoon rain. Water engineering thousands of years ahead of its time. And mounted high over one of its gateways, archaeologists found a signboard. 10 large symbols, each the size of a human hand, made to be read from a distance. The oldest signboard in human history. And not one person alive can tell you what it says. Think about what that means. We have their cities, their tools, their bathrooms, their art. And we cannot ask them a single question because they are speaking to us in a code we cannot break. They are, in the most literal sense, a cold case with no witnesses left to interview. And here is what makes the silence even stranger. These people were not isolated. Their seals turn up in the ruins of Mesopotamia, 1,000 miles away. The Mesopotamians wrote about a wealthy, distant trading land they called Meluhha, and many scholars believe Meluhha was them. So the great empires of the ancient world knew these people, traded with them, wrote their name down in clay, and then somehow everyone forgot. The name survived. The people it pointed to did not. So how does a civilization this advanced, millions of people across 1,000 settlements, just end? For decades, the popular theory was invasion, conquerors sweeping in, a massacre at Mohenjo-Daro. Scattered skeletons seem to prove it, but that theory has fallen apart. The skeletons came from different time periods. There was no mass grave, no layer of ash and weapons you would expect from a sacking. The invasion story is increasingly considered a myth. The leading explanation today is quieter and somehow more chilling. Climate. The monsoon patterns shifted. A massive river system the cities depended on began to dry up and change its course. No water means no farming. No farming means no cities. So they did not die in a battle. They walked away. Slowly, city by city, drifting east toward the rivers that still flowed, abandoning the greatest urban project of the ancient world, until there was no one left who remembered building it. And that is where the trail goes cold. We do not know what they called themselves. We do not know who led them. We do not know what they believed or what their writing says. Only that an entire advanced civilization rose, thrived for 700 years, and then dissolved so completely that we erased them from our own history for 4,000 years. And we have not stopped trying. Today, linguists feed the symbols into computers, hunting for the statistical fingerprints of language. Patterns, repetition, structure. The math says it probably is a real language, but without a single bilingual text, and in dust Rosetta Stone, the code holds. Every few years, someone announces they have finally cracked it, and every few years they are proven wrong. 400 symbols, 100 years of effort, and still silence. Here is the part that should keep you up tonight. If a civilization this large, this sophisticated, could vanish from human memory entirely, what else have we forgotten? What else is sitting under a mound somewhere, right now, waiting for the next railway crew to dig it up by accident? If you want the answer to that question, I have already found one. It is a map that, by every rule we understand, should not exist, and it is the next file we open. Subscribe so it finds you. This is Black Salt Ledger.